Good day, Mzansi, and welcome to the loading zone. Let's get loaded. What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the loading zone. My name is Rabaunen Ameng, your financial advisor's financial advisor. I hope that you've been keeping safe, following all necessary COVID-19 protocols, wearing a mask, sanitizing, and social distancing. Please note that these videos do not constitute financial advice and should not be seen or treated as such. For adequate and holistic advice, please seek the counsel of a registered financial advisor or hit me up in my professional capacity. Today, I want to talk about the difference between endowments and unit trusts. But in order for us to do that, we need to understand how each is structured first. Endowments and unit trusts are both invested in funds. There's just a few little differences between the two. So the question is, what's a fund? You see, a fund is a pool of money that a number of investors invest into collectively to invest into various asset classes. So different investors come and put money into the same pot, and within the same pot, it is then distributed to the various asset classes. In layman's terms, it's a professional stokvel. A stokvel that went to private school. A cheese boy stokvel. Okay, maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but I want you to get the gist of what I'm actually saying. In a fund, investors contribute either on a monthly basis or as a lump sum, or even as a combination of both a lump sum and a monthly recurring investment. The choice is really yours as an investor. Now, each fund would have a minimum of how much one can actually contribute into a fund. Either as a lump sum, they would say 10,000 as a minimum, or as a recurring monthly contribution, 500 Rand on a monthly basis. The money is then managed by someone called a fund manager, who essentially makes investment decisions on the behalf of the investors. Let's make it practical by way of an example. So you'd have like your Allen Gray, Coronation, Sanlam, Old Mutual, Stanlib, etc., who each have different funds within the different platforms. As an investor, you can go into one of these companies and invest in one of these funds. Let's say I have 500 Rand on a monthly basis, which I can invest. Each time I put money into this investment, I'm essentially buying units. So let's explain what a unit is. So your money inside this pot, this fund, is spread into different asset classes. So if you've been following these videos, you should know what an asset class is. If you haven't been following these videos, I would suggest that you stop right here and go back to my discussion on asset classes. I need the streams. Plus, I don't want to lose you. Because there's a bunch of us investing either on a monthly basis or as a lump sum into this pot, each of us is investing different amounts at different points in time. So each time we throw money into this pot, we are basically buying units. Let's assume in this fund, one unit is 100 Rand. When the debit order goes off of 500 Rand from my account, goes inside this pot, I would be purchasing 5 units. In the same breath, the guy who has a debit order of 1,000 would be purchasing 10 units. And the guy who has 10,000 to throw in would be purchasing 100 units. Still with me? If not, please rewind. So this is where it gets tricky for most people, and I hope that I'm able to explain this in a manner that's simplified and easy to understand. Price of the unit fluctuates, right? So maybe this month I bought my 5 units at 100 Rand a unit using my 500 Rand debit order. So next month when I want to contribute again, I may find that the value of the unit has increased, let's say to 105 Rand. I won't be buying 5 units now. I'd be buying 4.76 units. But also, I could find that maybe in the third month, the unit price has gone down and it's now 95 Rand per unit. This would mean that my 500 Rand now buys 5.26 or so. Maybe you're sitting there and you're asking yourself, well, because I'm buying at different prices at different intervals, at the end of it all, how much or how do I determine how much I actually have? This is very simple. All you have to do is look at the number of units that you have, multiply it with the price of the unit at the time when you want to take your money out. Don't worry, you don't have to have a calculator for this. It will always appear on your statement. So there's a whole host of funds that are out there within each company. These funds are grouped into 5 different categories depending on their risk profile. But that's a topic for another day. Baby steps. I really hope that I'm articulating this in a manner that's simple and understandable. But essentially what you're doing is you're taking your money, putting it inside this pot, and you're buying units inside this pot. This money inside this pot then goes into the different asset classes, which I've explained in previous videos. Then there's a price for the units that you're buying, and because it fluctuates, you're buying these units at different prices. Maybe think of it in terms of the petrol price. So today the petrol price is 10 Rand a liter, so with 100 Rand, I'm able to buy 10 liters. A week later, the petrol price has increased to 11 Rand a liter, and now I'm only able to buy 9 point something liters of petrol. The same scenario applies when you're buying units in a fund. Now that we understand how a fund actually works, let's look at the difference now between an endowment and a unit trust. As specified earlier, they are both invested in a fund. Understanding these differences allows you to be able to make a well-informed investment decision. First key difference is the term. In an endowment, you need to be invested for a minimum period of 5 years, whereas in a unit trust, there's no fixed term as to how long you are investing for. The second difference between the two is access to the funds or liquidity. Because of the term you have in an endowment, the 5-year term, whenever you want to do a withdrawal from your investment, there will be penalties. Usually, you are given up to 90% that you can withdraw, but you can only do this once and only after the first 12 months have gone by. In a unit trust, you can do as many withdrawals as you want without having any penalties. The third difference between an endowment and a unit trust is tax. All the returns that you get in an endowment come to the investor after the 5-year term tax-free. Someone who is invested in a unit trust would, however, have to pay taxes on a yearly basis, taking into account rebates that SARS gives you depending on how much interest or return you actually receive. The fourth difference between the two comes in when the investor actually passes away. You see, in an endowment, an investor is able to nominate a beneficiary in the event of death. What this means is, should I pass away while still in this investment, the funds will go directly to whoever I would have nominated. In a unit trust, it doesn't happen that way. Your funds form part of your estate if they are invested in a unit trust, just like any money in your savings or bank check account would actually be. So this is why this part is also important. When funds go into your estate, it means that there is usually an executor, and the executor charges a fee, which is 3.5%, excluding VAT. Including VAT, it is 3.99%. This means that your kids or your spouse will get less 3.99%. 3.99% may not seem like it's a big amount, but we're looking at about 39,000 on a million. That's a lot. Another benefit of having money going directly to a beneficiary is that it usually goes to the beneficiary much quicker. The last thing that makes the two investment difference is the fact that you are, in some instances, able to use your endowment as collateral when looking for a loan at a bank, whereas in a unit trust, you are unable to do so. So in a nutshell, those are the 5 key things that make an endowment different from a unit trust. Looking at these differences, there's always a bit of a catch-22 whenever you one needs to decide whether to go the route of a endowment or a unit trust. It's always advised to weigh your different options, create scenarios, but most importantly, seek the counsel of a financial advisor. With that said, I'm going to wrap things up right now. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate everybody who's been doing that over the past couple of weeks. Enjoy the rest of your week further. Have yourself a lovely day, and don't forget to get loaded.